Welcome back to episode 34 of the FrostCast, the coldest and the chillest of the War Machine podcasts. I am joined here by Ross.
Hey, everybody.
And our new guest for the day, Riker from Battle Driven.
Hello. I probably should have worn the jersey. It's okay. It's all right. It's fine. I do want to point out really quick that this is the chillest and coldest, but both of you are wearing sweatshirts. So
Well, yeah,
I'm cold, man.
Yeah, it's cold. It's the best part.
It's 55 degrees in my house, and I'm just
Oh,
chilling.
yikers.
So
See, I like it being cold just so I can put on a little hoodie and be cozy.
Yeah, my little hands will get cold if I don't have my hoodie on.
I don't
They
know
get
what
chilly.
it is, but like my hands will actually get like icicle cold, but the rest of my body is perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, like the same, but I'm not gonna walk around with mittens. I refuse to.
I'll be caught dead wearing me.
Yeah.
It's like I will never wear gloves in the gym either. Watch me never do that.
Yeah. My hands will just break and bleed. It's fine. It's fine.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's what the chalk's for.
Yeah.
That's really me.
Just a little bit of house cleaning for this. We've been kind of inconsistent with the uploads. This will kind of be like the reset episode. We're gonna be going to one episode a month. That's the goal, at least. Each episode will have a topic, and like today, Riker wanted to have a topic we'll talk about later, which is probably the title of this video. So you already clicked on it, so you already know it. But we're finding it out.
Get hype.
And then each episode will have a topic, and we'll also cover like the fun little side things, like the oopsies happened.
No. For somebody not familiar with oopsies, how would you describe this? What happened?
On Wednesday, War Machine Wednesday, everyone's favorite Wednesday, they accidentally leaked all of their testing data, like all of it.
All of it.
And then within like 5 minutes, I want to say they had it fixed, but like people had already downloaded the update and like were refusing to update, and they grabbed every screenshot they could.
Oh, wow. Yeah, whoopsies.
Now, I personally have not seen any of this, but hypothetically, there could be some really cool stuff that people
Didn't see?
may have made visible
Yeah.
in some form or another.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to talk about it too much because SFG did politely say not to talk about it too much. But all I'm going to say, Ross, your Colossal is very fun. It has a fun thing that I didn't think was going to ever be a rule.
Oh, interesting.
So, what's super cool about all of this information was seeing things that are like conceptual. They're not really like hammered out yet. Like I remember seeing there was a rule that just had question mark, and so kind of seeing how some like things that we know are coming out next year and how they're a little more fleshed out, a little more like, okay, I get this concept, and then this thing that's just like, what does this even mean? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like that model that you just mentioned.
That model is cool. It has some cool ideas. I wonder how it's going to work. But yeah, my biggest takeaway from that was it was a boost the community loved, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's going to carry us through the holidays. And two, it proves how much they're working on in the back end that is not normally seen to the public, because all the public sees is, where's my models? They haven't shipped yet.
Right.
So I think that's a huge, like, we're also working on this, like, mountain of models for everybody. They're just...
Oh, yeah. You've got, what, a million models? I've got a million models. Riker, you were just talking about having a million models you're taking care of.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, just to say what was leaked, Crick's new stuff was leaked, Chimera new stuff was leaked, the Dust Colossal and new stuff was leaked, and then all of Old Umbre was leaked.
Man, for a guy that said he didn't want to talk about it.
I'm not saying, I mean, everyone knows what it was. I'm just saying the name.
Except for me, dude. I refuse to look it up.
You're the one getting sent stuff by Steamforge, and you're the one talking about this. I'm the one walking on eggshells over here.
Well, you have a reason to.
I don't know what you're talking about. But,
and then all of Gravediggers was leaked.
Crazy.
Yeah, everyone's like, holy F, those are cool.
Yeah, but we already knew they were going to be dope, you know? We've been talking about them, the last, 4 videos?
I mean, we got spoilers at Boker Brawl for some of their stuff.
We've known the cool models were coming.
Yeah. I think that Gravediggers in particular are going to be a very interesting force next year in the current meta, where we're seeing a lot of for the most part, like super elite stuff outside of maybe Cricks. And I'm curious if it's going to be enough when I'm rolling enough dice at you from enough different sources. Like, I think Gravediggers is going to be much more classic Signar, where, I have 20 POW 10s. How am I going to make your life awful? And I think that when those POW 10s aren't POW 10s, that's going to be very scary.
That makes sense.
And I think that with the current nature of Steamroller being so spread out, we don't, outside of maybe like Kador and maybe a little bit of Dusk, but not really, we don't have that like dedicated gun line. Like,
Yeah.
people are still freaking out about Double Balloon, which they should, but
It's not fun to play against at all.
it's not fun to play against, but that is 4 sprays and maybe 2 AoEs, and that's
it.
That's it. So when you start looking at like when you see 20 plus guns across the table, it's like, oh, this might go bad.
Yeah, a real reason to start bringing D-cell.
Right. Oh, geez.
True.
Have to use my 9 out of 10 spell on my rack instead of my 10 out of 10. Oh, geez.
Oh, womp womp.
But what's really cool.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you.
Okay. What's really cool is that we're pairing this with the January update. So we're seeing into the future, but we're not seeing the entire picture because of all the changes coming in a month and a half.
100%. And plus, like the leaks, even without the leaks, even they're just leaks. It's not. None of it's like.
Right.
None of it was released, which means none of it is
final.
It's all subject to change. Like I would take anything people saw with a grain of salt.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what kind of makes this exciting. Because we get to talk and speculate, and it's ridiculous.
And have some real fun like tinfoil hat speculations.
Mm-hmm.
I love my tinfoil, but
yeah. And then, like you were saying, Gravediggers is going to be very different. I wonder how that's how the Steamroller pack is going to change and shift that play style difference.
Right.
Because like I don't know if anything is going to change, but I know some of those. Last night I lost an invasion in a game because I was like, oh, +5 on your turn. Even though I just evened the scoring, but you scored the bonus points on this turn, so you also still get a win. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So I came back to the game this February with the new-esque Steamroller packet.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day, my little boomer years, Steamroller was designed to force people into the middle of the table. It was to avoid people just sitting in their deployment zones and just shooting the whole game. And I really feel like we've drifted off of that. I feel like the spread out is a little too spread out. And I would like things to be a little more central, because when we deploy on Invasion, or my favorite one, Payload, where if I'm second player, right, well, for degenerate reasons, like if I'm second player, I just have my little bunker that I sit in with my 30 and my scoring elements, and you have to come to me because that's the only way you'll break parity from me just winning the game.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of I don't claim to be a designer or a tester or anything. It's just it's really concerning the number of times that I'll see a negative play experience because the table was a certain way and the game's just decided, like, okay, we're both of equal skill. The table is set this way. We can call a judge. We can try to change it, but like, if we play the table as is, this game is won on the die roll. And that's obviously what you want to avoid with an organized play document with scenarios. Yeah. And I know that there's a lot of hatred for the mosh pit in the middle, where we're just duking it out and nobody's really scoring. But I honestly think in the current meta, if we brought back like Spread the Net, where there's just the circle, the rectangles, and the solo score, that would be something that we could, like, because if you're dominating the middle, you are pushing the game forward because we're scoring multiple elements, and with so much ambush in the game now, I really think it would be interesting.
Do you think some of that so spread out is due to like just jacks not being as prevalent because of they only needing one jack in lists?
So we actually talked about this at the Shuffle as a concept. Is I would love, as a rule for Steamroller, I know before I joined back into the game, you had to bring 2 jacks.
3
3 at 100.
A three.
Oh, 3 at 100. Yeah. Yep.
Oh wow. Okay, that's awesome. And I know that there was a programming issue with Colossals. They wanted them to count as 2, but they couldn't make it work. And I would
Me and
love.
him just looking at each other like,
I'm not on that side of technology. So, if you guys want to offer your assistance, then go bananas. But what I would love is a flat set battle group requirement of points in
Jack
based
points
on the
back.
level. Kind of. I don't want like 28 and 26 and 22 and all sorts of weird stuff. But if we could do like 100, 25 points. You have to bring it. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. And I like 25 because if you make it 3, you're sort of fixing the problem. But
I mean, 3
I'm just
Raptors
gonna,
is 18 points. Right.
I'm
Like,
gonna bring. I'm gonna bring 2
realistically,
lights.
12. Or no,
Right,
15 or 12 or something stupid.
You're taking like 10 points out of my list.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm just bringing that 6-point Jackal and I have to bring 19 more points, like that's not just a heavy. Well, in Orgoth, that's a heavy because Tyrants are a billion points. But you're making them make some choices. And where that affects War Machine lists way more than Hordes lists, even though this is the same game now, is that Warlock has to bring the War Beast to function. Whereas the Warcaster, like we've seen with many top tier lists, don't.
Yeah.
They either bring their broken character in like Israfel,
Yep.
and maybe an Arc Node Ghast, or like me, I'll bring a Jackal, and that's it.
Yeah. A Arc, no Jackal, just a Thunder strings.
Right. And so it's or we even go to like you have like Kador, where it's like Mastodon, I'm done. Well, if we have 25 battle group points, that still covers it. You're still good to go.
I was gonna say that
But-
still leads into people being able to bring a Colossal and not feel punished.
Right.
Because I always felt back when we had to do 3, I always felt like 3 was just like 1 too many, and then 1 was way little. Because that's when I was playing Retribution. I was playing Thyron. I was like, oh, I have to bring 2 Aspis and Moros because Moros is a cool Jack. I'm just not gonna bring it. And then I changed it. I was like, oh, I only have to bring Moros now. I could bring 2 more units of dudes. Yep.
And that's where I think that it'll have a positive effect on the game. I don't think it'll ever happen, but you kill some of the redundancy in the game.
Yep.
Maybe you don't have 2 units of Dreadguard Cav, or 2 units of Shield Guards, or that like extra oomph that just kind of makes it a little ridiculous. It's also a much easier way to balance this
100%.
game. This game is about
like,
stompy robots.
You see it in a lot of other, like, it's not unfair to say that this can't be done, right? Like, you see this in a lot of tabletop games. It calls to mind when I first started playing, like, Warhammer, you were required to bring, if you want to bring Space Marines, you have to bring 2 squads of Tactical Marines. I can't just only bring Terminators, right? I think you could if you had a special character for a special rule set, but regardless, right, like, you had to bring Tactical Marines, or if you're playing, like, whatever, you had to bring regular dudes. And it was just a requirement within there. You had to spend X amount of points. I think War Machine could definitely do that, and I do think it would positively impact the game. Shout out to Dusk, I'd see maybe 1 less unit of cats, perhaps.
Hey, you'd be happy with my current list. I only run 1 unit of cats.
Well, because you're being a gentleman now.
Trendsetter. But so like not only that, but like especially with the customization options in the game now, like if I bring 2 heavies and I'm at 24 points, maybe I upgrade an arm to a bigger weapon. Maybe I make a better head. Like I think there's a lot of reasoning for the way that the game is designed right now for this to go hand in hand.
It makes it less awkward to deal with.
And when you talk about 25 points, right, like I don't think that's that much, right? When you look at it, like, I mean, granted, Big Crix is my big list, right? So, like, that's the list I know. But, like, a Malefactor at base, right, the cheapest Malefactor you make, plus Hades, 26 points. You're free.
You're done.
You're good.
Done. And more times than not, it's going to end up being a heavy and 2 lights, and you're done. And that's just the way the points typically work out. But there are lists that are just not doing that. And realistically, where it was egregious is now the age-old conversation of, should I take a 16 or 17 point heavy, or do I take Warbore? For 3 more points, I get Carver. And then, so now if you have to take battle group points, that's not your battle group. You can still take it.
Yeah.
But now I have to pay for these 3 Jacks and Warbore. Now I'm only getting like 45-ish points of my army. And it's interesting.
No, I think it would be a really good change. I think it'd bring a lot of good to the game.
And honestly, if that happened, I think they would see how stretched thin the scenarios are. when you can't just, because like I do it with Orgoth all the time. I'm like, oh, invasion, okay, here's a unit of rocks, a balloon, and a broken solo on that side. They're completely independent. I don't have to do anything with them. And on this side, I'm gonna do the same thing. Oh yeah, I still have stuff coming up the middle. Like
Yeah.
I don't have to think. um, and that's just with one balloon. That's, I mean, the other, like the barragers and the rocks on my right, like I still don't care. They're still independent. Whereas if I had to play with Jax, I think Harusk becomes very interesting. Like he kind of fits more of his mold, where he has abattoir and stuff like that. Like I can bring bloodthirsting polearm jackals and maybe like a
Mhm.
berserk one, or just make it more thought process than the units are more valuable than these Jacks 9 times out of 10.
I think that's a
Um,
problem. Like, obviously, I'm a Dusk complainer. Ooh, best army right now. Not the best army, but like a good army. But like
we're up
Dusk's
there.
thing
Yeah.
is like our units are so good, and our heavy jacks are just like, eh. And like we don't
Yeah,
see. Go ahead.
If you had um, positive charge instead of battle lust, completely different story.
Yeah.
But the fact that like every caster in your faction can soup up a unit, like no problem,
Yep.
and it doesn't matter how crappy they are because you're good to go.
well, and I think that's kind of like a bigger takeaway from it is that it's not necessarily that your jacks suck, right?
They're good.
They might not be crazy strong, but
Right.
like War Machine has kind of moved away from jacks is what it feels like a little bit, and really souped up all the units. And so you just have so much in your group that you can just do to all your homies that like you don't need jacks. It's not that they're not good, you're just your guys are better. And so I think if like Steamforge kind of looks at that and is like, it's a jack game. We want this to be a jack game. Make it so that you're taking jacks and you feel like it's value added, right? Maybe some of that stuff doesn't necessarily fit that list for souping up all your units all the time. Like, but that's just my 2 cents.
Look, if they make
Yeah.
Hazaroth good, I'm playing them. That's
Well,
it.
if they make you take jacks, right? Like,
I don't. No. If
I
Hazaroth
think
is
that
even
changes
just
the.
That's the
mediocre,
domino for you.
if Hazaroth is like mediocre, just like okay, I will ram
We're
him
done.
into every
We're good.
game. It's like Moraine, Hazaroth, my pair every time. I don't care if I lose the Dusk Mirror because I'm not running Tyrus. I will play Hazaroth.
That's crazy.
He's my before Moraine came out. He is my favorite like style caster. Like look wise, just big
Has
50
a
mil.
custom Sephiroth Tyrus, and he's just but Hazaroth.
And I have a
What's
Falshir Moraine. Who?
Yeah, well, I already knew that part. She's still in the pairing though. So
Yeah.
what's your crazy custom Hazaroth?
He will be painted like David from Cyberpunk.
All right. All right. Okay. All right. All right. You got me. Um, yeah, I think that almost every objective on the barren sides should be like 12 inches in minimum.
Yeah.
This like 8 inches in
Yeah.
or like 4, like you're picking sides so hard, and there's too many games. I don't mean to rail on Dusk, but it's because of their long threat ranges, where I have seen a lot of Dusk games where here's on my 100-point army, 50 points here, 50 points here, go, and I'm gonna sit in the corners, and the second you touch a scenario piece, I'm gonna alpha you and kill you. You're like, okay,
Yeah, Dusk isn't.
cool.
Dusk can, because his units are so good, it can play wide and play comfortably.
Yeah, but like how many armies can, right? And
I'm
I think
doing
that's the
the same
point.
thing with rocks,
Yeah.
where any cav unit, realistically, where it's like, hey, I threat 12, 13 ish. I'm going to be here where if you are within 3 inches of this objective, I can get to you. Go ahead. You're like, okay.
Yep.
Whereas if it's central, and also if it's central, there's more back and forth and there's more responses. I feel like too many times we play a game and a side crashes and that's it.
And that's the game, right? It all comes down to that. And I think that even ties into the Jax thing, right? It's punishing to have, if you have 3 objectives, one centered too far out, and they're far out, you have to have units, which typically units are cheaper than Jax, right? Which means you're going to need to take them because you can't hold the objectives without it. Like you just can't. You can't afford it. Because what are you going to do? Throw a heavy on each one, right? And then how many lists can actually do that? So
Back at Boker Brawl, I was playing Kador for the solo event. I loved Sakura. I thought Sakura was super cool. Positive charge, a feat that does stuff. She's got threat extension. She can desperate pace mana war, which are really slow. I can't get to the objectives.
Yeah, because she plays in a little brick. If you touch the
This
brick,
little
everything
brick,
gets mad. Yeah.
and it's like I have to throw a direwolf over there that's gonna die, and I'm like, all right. My 12-inch controller area, I feel like Spider-Man on the subway. Like it's just, and the problem is that I am shocked at the number of Mark IV warlocks that are control range 12. It's bonkers. Almost all of them. I don't because it's not tied to your Fury set anymore. They should just be 14. Just hard stop.
I do feel like a couple casters are like, I'm like, why are you only 12? And then there's some that I'm like, why are you 14?
Right? Why is Harusk 14?
Yeah, I was just about to say, Harusk at 14? I was
Why?
like,
I'll take it. I'm gonna take it to the bank, but
Yeah.
like, doesn't make any sense.
and like playing with, and I just started playing Kador, so like I don't know everything and all the intricates, but Vilcool
Yeah,
feels
Kador.
like, okay. Vilcool, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know if you'd be broken at 14, but there's sometimes I was like, just want that little bit of extra just control with her. Because she's very much playing in the back line until she takes her like mega long move.
Yeah. You're talking about Sakura, right?
No, the 2-player battle box caster, Vilcool.
Vilcool. Okay. I think she is in a really cool spot to be unique in the faction. I think Kador as a whole, there were a lot of casters that they did something cool, but they don't really serve a purpose matchup wise.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of audible to the two good casters. And I think that Vilcool fills a role that no one else really does, which is hilarious because you have a sniper caster.
Yeah. She's
But
really
a cool
fun,
assassin.
and I love the way she plays, and I've been just playing. I play her like locally exclusively now.
Okay.
She's just fun.
Yeah, and dynamic. That's a cool thing for me. Where like a lot of like the Kador roster, like I said, that cool thing that they do, that's the one thing they do. It's like, all right, feat with Baronova, signs importance, go. Obviously, Baranova's way up there because she does two things. She also has Gallows.
Ooh.
But it's really cool that Vilcool kind of identifies with the super solo. If you get too close, I'll just end you. Like,
and by too close, we mean 18.
I mean, it's Mark IV, so that's that's basically a 6-inch move.
You're right. You're right. Her being speed 7 is kind of funny.
It's insane. She picks her knees up when she runs.
Yeah.
I definitely see like the anime like throw a smoke bomb down. She's a Terminator running through it and just disappear. The closest thing we have to flash step. But so yeah, I think that moving everything more centrally will make more models more relevant on a turn-by-turn basis. Because Mark IV is already doing that conceptually. Just from unit movement changing, we have the most models that have ever made an impact on a turn-by-turn basis in the game. Because you think back to like Mark II, Mark III, there were plenty of turns where 75% of your army does nothing.
Interesting.
Because you're like, oh, that I could charge that unit, but like 2 guys are getting attacks. Do I throw away that unit?
Because you could only. Yeah.
Right. And now that if that one guy can get there, the whole party's there. But yeah. What? So, do we guys want to do you want to jump into the 2-player?
Yeah, let's jump into
I was say we're talking about Vilcool and all that stuff, and like how movements changed a little bit. What do you guys think of the 2-player battle box? Do you think the contents are just right? Do you think? Because I had some people were like, "Oh, I wish there was dice. I wish there was rulers." Or like some people.
Yeah,
like
I think there should be, right? Like maybe I don't know about paper rules since the app is free, right? Yeah. If you had to pay for it, I'd be like, yeah, you need rules, right? If you were buying codexes or something silly, yeah, you need rules. But dice and rulers, you need them, right? Even if they're like crappy, like I'm not expecting, where is it?
The Baron dice.
The Baron dice, right? Like I'm not expecting the Nova dice or anything fun like that, but 6 dice, enough dice to get a unit to swing, right? So maybe 12 dice or something, right?
Don't even need that much for a machine.
Well, I guess technically, what you only really need four,
Four in a separate
five.
Like
four.
6.
Yeah, so I think the highest you can get in the box, in that box in particular, if you like stack everything, it's five and a separate color.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then
Per
yeah,
column.
and that's exactly what they should do, right?
Mhm.
6 dice total, 5 are whatever the cheapest color is, and then one of the next cheapest color, and then right, and then after that, what you do is you get some sticks, right, and they don't have
Oh,
to be
what I was
crazy,
thinking is this little piece of paper. You made this out of like some cardstock instead of just like normal
like
paper,
the nice cardstock, yeah, like
and then you just make this like a cutout ruler because it's already in the box.
So the Mark III battle boxes, when they redid them, they had like a
The
paper ruler.
foldable ruler. Yep, I still have them.
So that,
oh,
I'm not a huge fan of it, but it did serve the function. The dice, same thing. Those Mark III battle boxes were not expensive. Boom, right there.
make it like this. Steamforge,
So
if you can see me, do it. It's super easy. Look, it just pops out, dog. It's that easy.
so using that concept, right? What I would have loved to see is the
Tokens.
tokens
Yes.
for these models, all of their spells, all of their everything, because the Mark III battle boxes came with black writable tokens.
It did. Yeah,
So
you're right. And it came with
you would
focus stacks.
you would write on it, and no one could see what you're writing because it's a black writable token.
If you
But
would have
that
done, yeah, if you would have done
done.
that on one side, you did the scan it, and then that, and then the other side is a ruler, and then tokens for each caster.
You could honestly, I'm telling you, one sheet. I think
Fit
you could
everything
fit
on that.
fit
Yeah.
everything because I
Yep.
don't need
So
every single measurement. You get the
right.
biggest movement one,
Mhm.
right? You get like functionally a 12-inch rod with 1-inch increments, and then boom, you're
That's it.
good.
Yeah.
So you throw in a cardboard sheet with all the tokens
Yep.
and the ruler. You have a little package of dice, and on the back side of that advertisement for the front of the box, just put their stats.
Yep.
So if I'm at a con, I don't have service, my phone is dead, I can buy that box and
I'm
just be
trying to
like,
get into the
boom,
game. Yeah,
I can play.
exactly.
And if at home later, if I want to scan a QR code, download the app, sure, that's great. But like, I can keep for me, a really good 2-player battle box is like a board game. I
Yes.
can open it, I can play it, and we're done, and I
Yep.
can put it away.
Make the
Um,
models snap fit, right? I mean, we see that. Like, make them super easy. You can make them cheap. Make them whatever the cheapest is.
No, I
Like,
like.
that's what you see, right?
I I don't fully agree with that one. The snap fit models.
Well,
I
maybe not
do.
snap fit, but you get what I'm saying. Make them cheap.
I
so
like the
what I'm
quality of these.
right. So what I'm curious about is Steamforge already won many awards for their Guild Ball starter, being so affordable, so well
Hmm.
designed. They already know how to do it. Again, I always have to add it with a grain of salt where like I don't know how much pressure they are under to get this out as quickly as possible
Yep.
to make people happy, to try and reset that brand identity, and start to build good relationships with people. They made it
And to introduce
affordable.
the plastic.
Right. Introduce the plastic, make it look good. And
Yep.
another problem with if they cheaped out on this material or they just made them like single prints, like they did with the Guild Ball, where they're just one piece, there's no
Yeah.
assembly, is that these are all characters. These are not just run of the mill, like, I got a Juggernaut and a Destroyer and Sorsha. Like, these are my Assault Commando unit, Razor, like my
Yeah.
character solo. So they're intricate sculpts. So if they cheaped out on it, then they would lose a lot of the detail. And then now this is the only way you can get the characters.
They
So
don't look too
you're
hot.
you're stuck with
Yeah.
it. And I don't know how it would feel if my Black 13th had potato faces. Um,
Yeah. A lot
Yeah,
of
but there's
these.
ways to do it. There's ways to do it and do it right. You know, I don't necessarily know that they need to be like
right.
die cast molds, right, or whatnot. But there's definitely like we see that in a lot of other tabletop games where they have these starter sets and the models don't have options, right? You get what they give you. You're not getting all the extra arms and heads because it's
Right.
already pre-built to the points.
Mhm.
And if you want to get those models, sometimes they're unique cast, which is cool, but they're that model, right? If I wanted that model with a battle axe and a shield instead of I don't know, like a gun and a scythe or something, you go get the box. You go get that
Right.
model from Steamforge. I don't think. I think there's a way to do it. Maybe not with this box, right? Maybe not with the next box. I'm sure they're already working on them, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
But
Yeah.
as they continue to roll them out, I think that wouldn't be too difficult, and you could still keep the quality, but make it easy for new people who don't have the tools to play.
Right, absolutely. So I also agree with you that I think that this box is a fantastic opportunity to
100%.
include as many characters as possible because they don't have any options. You get them
Yeah,
as they are. So that's great. We don't have to print
100%.
extra pieces. We don't have to give them magnets. We don't have to. But I think the only reason that the box is so bare bones was they really wanted to hit that price point.
I think so.
They
I
really
think
wanted to
price
just try
point
and.
and time zone.
But I think that's super important, right? Like they need
It
to
is,
hit the price point because if it is mad expensive, what's the purpose, right? Like you're
like,
trying to get people into the game. I don't want to sink 500, $250
yep,
each, right, into an army for a game I might not like.
it,
Um, but I think the price point they have on the two-player battle blocks is pretty good if we're being
mhm.
Oh,
super
it's
honest,
so good.
especially compared to
Oh, yeah.
the rest of the industry. I
Uh-huh.
think you get a lot of value out of it. I think, I mean, just like anything in life, it can be improved, but I wouldn't be mad, right? I wouldn't be mad at all.
I think
And
this box, once they get it fleshed out and they get everything figured out, if they included dice ruler and
Hmm.
like um, whatever
tokens.
else, you could bump it up
Yeah.
to like 110 or 120,
Yeah.
and you'd be still perfectly within reason of being a very budget friendly starter. And then if you can just open it in like a board game for 60
Mhm.
bucks a pop for each person, and then you also walk away with some of like I would put the models on par with GW plastic solos.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, they're
Even if it's
fantastic.
120, right? Even if it's 120, you're beating a lot of your competition by like $60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, and I
And
think they
again,
really hammered in on the plastic quality. And they're like,
yeah.
why? Some people are like, why is the cool 21 pieces? She probably doesn't need to be 21 pieces.
No.
But the rest of the bottles are 16 a piece, roughly.
16
Well,
pieces for each model.
15 for Deuce because you always keep forgetting the little part that goes underneath his neck, right?
All right,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it feels like a lot, but
So, but if you,
that's all right. I
I
mean, no
just,
mold lines, I guess, right?
Yeah.
oh, there are
So
some mold lines. It's the seam lines that aren't there,
Yeah.
yeah,
which is like where the two pieces come together. There was only
right.
one seam line on Deuce on the top of his gun right here that was super easy to fix.
Mhm.
But like, I'm building some other plastic minis from other like building. I built Gaunt's Ghost, and each of them was like 15 pieces. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's just normal now to remove seam
Yeah,
lines.
we're definitely entering an era of over-engineered models, and that's okay. But like again, what I watched your video on building them, and everything just went together. It was all
Yes,
like bing bang
100%.
boom, done
Even without instructions.
without instructions.
Right. And I think that's the important part, right? Like I personally, do I love 15, 16 piece models? Not really, man. Unless they're big, and even then, it feels like a lot. But if they make sense, I'd rather put together a 15-piece model that makes sense, easy to put together because I understand where everything goes, than an 8-piece model that I'm like,
That playing a
damn, I
jigsaw
got lost
puzzle.
in the yeah, I got he's got identical forearms, but they don't actually they're not actually identical, and so I put the
Right,
wrong one on.
right.
So as long as they're easy,
No, they were very
I don't know.
like her like the cools because her arms like clip under it. They are very obvious which one goes here and which one
Yeah,
goes here.
that mean not that I had any lack of faith that they would do a good job. Like
Right.
wasn't worried about it, but that is good to see, right? I think that is important.
So yeah, I really think that they kind of, I think they did crush it
Mm,
Yeah,
on like adding the characters. The characters are cool,
very
and
cool.
the models themselves look really awesome in like their individual identities. So like seeing the I can't remember what's the assault commandos unit's name.
Oh, the hounds.
Hounds. Like again, really building off of that assault commando style that we haven't really seen out of Kador yet, or new Kador, and like the freaking bazooka, like the razor's
Mustache man.
cool, like yeah. And then like obviously a return of Falk as just a grumpy old gun mage with a shotgun, and the Black 13th with the new member. Like they're broken, but that's beside the point.
Well, that was gonna be my next point. Is I would say aside from Razor being a little expensive, every
Mhm.
model in that box is good, and a veteran player can still use that if they play that army.
I think a veteran player is legitimately excited for that box, and I
Yeah,
think that that is a wonderful thing to check off.
because if you're a
yeah.
new
'Cause then
player, you buy that army, you're like, okay, I had fun at the simplified version because I think there's going
Okay.
to be quick start rules coming out, and then as they learn, they can start using the
yep.
long character sheets that have because each individual hound has their own little rule that intertwines with another. Each Black 13 has their own little rule.
Yep.
There's a lot of rules per model, and as you progress as a player, you can start implementing them more and more, and then you don't have to use, because sometimes battle boxes, they're like, oh, I bought a battle box. Oh, that guy sucks. Can't use him anymore. These guys are good. I think that was another reason they made it so good, is so it stayed with the player.
This is a melee heavy. This is a ranged heavy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. This is Razor. It's just doing nonsense every game. This is Deuce. Like, oh my god. Like,
Yeah, Deuce is headshotting everybody.
Right. You get to have a bunch of questions in the game too. How do we resolve this? How does this work? What's going on with this? And every moment you can be like, let's look it up. So you're learning way more than you would in a battle box game.
And I genuinely like that they included so many characters because, like you said, right, they're going to have extra rules. They're going to do goofy shit.
Right.
And it's not just, hey, I've got 5 grunts. Well, what do? They hit you.
They smack you.
Okay. And they don't have anything crazy, right? Maybe one rule, but like characters are going to have a bunch.
Or you're an old battle box and you have 2 war beasts or warjacks. And that's it.
That's it.
You don't learn about unit movement. You don't learn about charging.
Exactly.
Like,
Yep.
This is how we always did our demo games. It would be a caster, a unit, a solo, and a jack. So you can see how each one maybe just dies, sure, but you see how they move out the board, where they might fit in the army.
And as always, a very important thing for battle boxes is you pick casters that kill each other.
Yes. I think that is super important because if you're running support casters in the battle box, while they might be really, really good in the meta, I think for new players, ultimately the goal is
hold W.
You're gonna run up the board and beat the snot out of the other homie, and they're gonna do the same to you. Right? That's the goal.
I'm not putting Harusk Omo in a battle box. Like to just run at each other and be like, nothing died.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, bravo, honestly, to them for making a really awesome box, and it can only get better.
True.
100%.
Like this is only step 1.
Right.
Right. No, and they look great. I mean, shoot, you're still on the front page of Reddit. Like I'm not even logged in, so it's not even got any. It doesn't have anything of any. Yeah. So I think they did one. You did a fantastic job painting, and if you haven't seen Ice King's Cawdor Jacks, check out the War Machine Reddit. It's front page right now, and I'm not even logged in. So check it out. It looks fantastic, and that's something awesome in the battle box too, right? You love to see models that look great.
Right.
We love solo wax cup jacks.
So, also building off of that, like I always appreciate your very bright take on painting. I think it's very easy to get muddy, brown, dark. Look at half of this gnome oil,
dark, right?
Yeah. And Agrect Earthshade, like working 75% of the model, and like.
And I feel like I'm being shot at right now.
Listen, I got the pot right here. Okay.
I'm taking shots. I got gnome oil right here.
Covered in gnome oil. Stop, please.
So it's one of those things where when the bright army is done well and on the table, it just pops so much, and it's so cool.
Somebody pointed out to me, they're like, if you brought a fully painted Cawdor army to a table with a friend who in a game store that had never seen War Machine, somebody would walk by and be like, "What is that?"
Oh, 100%.
Because like, that's bright purple and teal. What is that?
Yeah.
And I think that speaking on this kind of branches into the next topic.
Yep. So you can go ahead and kick us off into the big reason this episode is existing today.
So with January on the horizon and a lot of major changes happening, one of the big things that I like to do is set goals for yourself as a player. And I think that this is completely customizable based on where you see yourself as a player in the general competitive meta, hobby meta, and honestly, mental meta. I think this is a moment where a lot of people were kind of in War Machine off season, even though that the VTC tournament is ending in like 9 hours with a very exciting 2-2 England-Australia final. But it's time to get retrospective and see how you did for the year and where you kind of lined up with your priorities and how realistic were your goals. So both of you guys can go first. What were some goals you set for yourself this year, and did you feel like you met them, didn't meet them?
I'll go first. Some of my goals were just to get out to tournaments more,
Mhm.
like just to travel more, like go to different conventions, and then was to finish Orgoth painting, and like just get armies on the table painted.
Mhm.
For traveling convention wise, I went to Bocor and I played really well. I was very happy with how I did at Bocor. I was confident that day. I went to Nova. I think I was just too many months out of practice because of work stuff,
Mhm.
and that's life.
Yeah.
And then painting Orgoth will be. I'm since we're in like that kind of like hobby lull period. Kind of waiting for new stuff.
Right.
I'm going to be using these next 2 months to like cram out as much painting as I can over the holidays. So January 25 starts, I can be like, oh, I need to paint this, this, and this to be ready for Adepticon. Boom, done.
Right.
And that way, there's no
A
other projects distracting me. And like,
lot
I'm
easier
gonna
to paint 6 models than 20 models.
yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I would say overall, I did well on the paint. I did very well on the painting for myself. Even though I may have added Cawdor to my list of painting, but
Yep.
uh, that's fine. That happens. And then
Mhm.
playing wise, I wish I had more time. I definitely wish I had more practice games. That was my biggest critique of my own self. Is like I wish I had more time to get more practice games in, or I made the
Okay.
time to get more practice games in. I should say.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that leads me to exactly where I'm at with it, right? I mean, granted, life kind of has been a little crazy, right? I'd
Right.
say ultimately very happy, right? One, Taylor and I became friends this year, right? We got into War Machine this year. Like, all of this stuff has really been kicking off very recently, functionally, right? Like, I mean,
Right.
we I had never even really played War Machine. I mean,
Mhm.
never played War Machine. I had played Warhammer and hadn't played in years. Hadn't played tabletop games in years.
Right.
And then we kind of just clicked. I went to my first ever games convention, tabletop convention. Taylor and I had a fantastic time. Nova was
Mhm.
a blast.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I'd say I'm behind on painting, right?
Mhm.
I'm behind on building, but I have a very awful habit. And Taylor could, back me up here, right?
Aw,
When we got
hell
the
yeah.
Cricks originally, I was like, we'll paint them in 2 days. We'll have this bad boy painted. We'll be good to go. And he's like,
Oh, yeah.
So let
oh,
me explain this. Let me explain this how this really
Oh,
happened.
boy.
yeah,
I
yeah,
got
yeah.
the
It's a better story when you tell it.
SFG thankfully sent. I was thankful enough to get the SFG, the Crix box from the SFG, and I was like,
Mhm.
Ross, you like Crix, and this is your time to get into Mark IV. You're gonna paint these. These are your models now. And I was like, hey, I want to get the video for the painting out like super quick. So they arrived
Mhm.
on like a Monday, Tuesday. We
Right.
recorded, and then I was like, hey, Saturday, come over and paint. He's like, dope. We'll paint the whole box in one day. I was like, okay, sure, we can definitely try. We like get halfway through Hades. He's like, it's gonna be a little tight, but I think I can do it. I'm like, okay, sure. And then like we get to the wash on Hades, like just the wash, which is like the probably near the end of it though, because he just does
It's
one big.
close. Yeah,
It's
it's
close to the
close to
end,
the
Uh,
end.
and he's like, it's we're only washing Hades, has done nothing else
Yeah,
except for base coats to the other
we
models.
base coded everything. Nothing. I've been working on. What was I working on? A
You were
couple
working on
other
the
models.
Malefactor,
Malefactor and the Furies at the same time, right?
Malefactor
And we haven't
weapon,
even watched them. Yeah,
and a
Malefactor
Fury
weapons.
cape.
Yep.
That's it.
Haven't even watched him.
wow.
Haven't done any of it with him. And we've been painting for like 6 hours at least, right? We've been painting
Like
all day.
I'm here working on my Dusk cadre, and this goofy is right here. Like,
This movie.
Yeah, dude, I'm
I'm running out of
going.
time, man.
Yeah,
I don't
dude,
know.
we both had stuff to do that night, and I was like, yeah, man,
Oh,
fucking in and
man.
out, 15-minute adventure, we'll be set, right? And I think a lot of us do that. I think I
Right.
hopefully am not alone. I'm a big overpromiser to myself when it comes to the hobby. I'm a big overpromiser. And then I think that's a really bad habit to have, right? Like if we're doing a little self-reflection, I think that's super dangerous because then
Right.
you get burnout, right? And then
Mhm.
you're like, I'm not painting anything today.
Yeah,
I'm
because then
not
you
Oh,
get
getting paid. I'm
disappointed
not
with yourself, and
right.
it's like,
Yeah, and then you're like, I'm not playing with them. I'm not painting them. They just sit in your garage. They sit on your models, right? And
Mhm.
then you don't do anything for weeks,
Right.
maybe even longer, right? And I think the biggest piece, in my opinion, is you got to set small goals, right? And make
Mhm.
them achievable, right? If you finish it early, great. Don't move on,
Right.
right? Hey, I'm gonna paint one model a week, right? Whatever, one model every 2 weeks, whatever your thing is that your life can handle,
Mhm.
because that way when life does happen, you can deal with it, right? Like I had a huge life thing. I got a brand new job this year,
Mhm.
a lot more responsibility, and have had to like travel, do a bunch of stuff. and
Right.
then still want to go to the gym with Taylor, right? Still want to go and be an adult and have other hobbies
And
or talk
functioning.
to family and
Yeah.
function,
Right.
right? And
Right.
if you set those smaller goals, if I had just said like, hey, I'm going to paint a model a week, um, that's achievable, or even just, hey, I'm going to base 2 models this week, and that way,
And
and if you finish it, great. Go to your other, do some other fun stuff, and that way you're not going to burn out. You're
Mhm.
not gonna like hate the hobby, because that's the worst, right? Is if you love it and you spend all this time on it, and then you're like, man, this is all I've done for like the last month. I'm not doing this forever.
So
yeah.
everything you've just said was broken down into basically every point I just made. Where like
Yep.
those are the avenues in which you should be objectively looking at yourself. I think
Yep.
the mental is the number one that is not looked at. Where in every tabletop player's career, there's a moment where they're like, I want to be a serious shark. I want to be very
Hmm.
good at this game. I want to win, and it not at, like at all costs, but like this is my everything.
Right.
And after that year is over, and it's a dice game, so just because you put in a lot of time doesn't mean you're going to win.
Yep.
Um, at the end of that year, where you have 300 games played, are you happy? Are you not? Like, are you just going to cons and you're only happy if you're winning? Like the whole thing? That's one person out of that whole con.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
And it's just not obtainable, right? And I
right.
think if you're playing, and like, I don't want to bash the folks that are like, this is my life. I am a competitive War Machine player or competitive tabletop. I think honestly, this branches to every tabletop game,
I
right?
mean,
I'm a
it's just
100%.
competitive tabletop
literally me.
gamer, right? And
You're just good at
while
games,
that's
Riker.
great and I love it
Uh,
for you,
Yeah.
and I want you to be happy. I want you to win, because winning does feel good, right? I mean, we can, at the end of the day, winning feels good.
yeah,
It's a dopamine thing. We're
why we
designed to
that's
want
why
to
we
win,
compete.
yeah.
right? If that's your only goal, then I think you're gonna find a hard time getting the most out of the hobby, right? If
Right.
that's your only goal, then one, I don't think you're gonna get your money's worth out of what you get, right?
Hmm.
Because the metas change,
Right.
the rules change, the
Hmm.
best army, the best flavor of the week, changes, and if you're chasing that dragon, you're either gonna have 15 million armies, which if you can afford that, kudos to you, man. That's
Go
big. Love
bananas.
that. Love that for you.
But hang on, let me
But
let
that's
me let me hop in on that. If you have 15 million armies and you can afford them armies, you depending on what you're playing and how you feel about painted versus non-painted, you're also going to have 15 armies to paint or 15 armies to pay somebody to paint.
But if your
Either way, you're
goal is
not
to
having
be
fun.
hyper competitive, then the painting's probably not there for you, right? The building's not there for you. None of that other stuff is really what you're there for if you're
Mhm.
only playing to win. And I think that's you have to, and this comes down to like even the folks you play with, right? You got to try to find that niche. In my opinion, you got to find that niche of like people who are just there to have fun.
Mhm.
Because if everyone's there to win, you're not really making friends. Let's be real. Because if you're only there to win and you're winning, they probably not, and they're only there to win, you're probably just not going to get along, right? And if you're not winning, you're probably not having a good time,
If that's your only
right?
purpose of the
Like,
game, yeah.
if you're only there to win and you're not winning, you're probably not having fun.
So when we're talking about like analyzing your year and kind of figuring out like where you feel you are positioned in whatever aspect of the hobby you enjoy, like did you actually improve at painting? Or are you still using the same slap chop methods you did 2 years ago? That's okay to do, but are you adding to it? Are you trying new things? Are you
Yep.
still using my one of my biggest things was I have two thin coats, monument, war colors, P3, citadel. I'm gonna grab a paint and I'm just gonna try it and see if
Yep.
I like it.
Yep.
And
Oh,
every
dude.
time,
Yeah, trust
yeah,
me.
I
I
mean,
know.
right. And so it's the are you exploring the hobby? Like,
Yeah.
I still suck at basing, but I'm working on it. Like, and that's all you can
Yeah.
really ask of yourself. So when you mentioned like painting a model a week, basing 2 models a week, whatever. Biggest thing for me is even getting more abstract. I just want to tighten my discipline on the hobby. So like I work 3 12s in a row, and I have about a 45-minute commute. So when I'm working, it's very difficult for me to do anything but that for those 3
100%.
days. You guys
100%.
understand with the crazy schedule. So
Yes.
more than most people I know. So um, on those days off, I want to be very regimented where I'm like, okay, Saturdays, more times than not, are going to be a tournament somewhere, and there might be travel involved. So Thursday is the easiest day to be like, I should paint that day.
Yep.
And it should be something. And I got pretty good at that. So every Thursday I'm painting. Actually, you know what? I have like 3 hours in between my work shifts. I can get an hour of painting done. I can just do something. And that
Mhm.
something turned into a lot of momentum
Yeah.
to now where my next year's goal is. My goal is play it painted, period. Like no more gray, no more primed. Like I want to I'm applying for WTC and I want to be a representative of the game. And part of the game is the hobby. Now,
Yeah.
I know that we're one of the few miniature games that still don't require painted, but man, like we said previously, it looks a heck of a lot better on the table when
It
everything's
does, right?
all done up.
And I would be hard pressed to see that in the next upcoming years, if we're playing the little Oracle sphere,
Hmm.
that that rule will change, right? As War Machine picks up momentum, as it becomes even more popular, which we're already seeing,
Oh, yeah.
I would be hard pressed many tournaments that are not requiring paint because it does draw the people to the game, right? That's the whole shtick with war games and other tabletop games is that this isn't a board game, right? This is the whole goal is that you kind of like immerse yourself in the world. You get to feel like you get to be a part of this bigger thing than it is, right? And that's something I really love in scenarios or in the like lore games and things like that. Is like I feel involved in the world, and you just don't really get that with gray models. Like if it's just gray models on the table, that's fine, but I think you're missing a piece that makes the game just
I
more fun.
I would. This is my take, and this is will be my take, and I will die on this hill. I hope we don't require painting for like the competitive side.
So what I would like to see is masters return to painted. So what I mean by that is that the people who have qualified and make it to the last day, those people, hey man, gotta be painted. But everybody else can still play. They can still enjoy themselves. Like, and if you make it, oh man, like everybody has a crazy hotel story where they're putting coffee grounds on their base and gluing it so that they can meet the requirements of masters. And I just think that I want to add that air of like this means something to masters again. I'm not saying that there isn't. Obviously, there is. It's just like again, as the game is growing in popularity, when somebody walks by on that Sunday after their tournament's done and they look at all the tables, they're like, "Whoa, this game looks amazing."
Right, that's something that draws me to, and like I haven't played it, I don't know, but well, like for example, we're at Nova, right? And we go to the Lord of the Rings section, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those
I haven't really
tables.
heard a ton of the Lord of the
Oh,
Rings game. I haven't played it, right? But damn, do the tables look fantastic, right?
mm-hmm.
Not only that, but everybody's models are painted,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gorgeous, right? You go out there and you're seeing like a Balrog fighting Legolas or
Oh yeah.
something crazy, and you're like, oh my god, this is I love Lord of the Rings. It's my childhood. I want to see that in War Machine, right? I love seeing that in Warhammer. I love seeing that in all these other tabletop games. And War Machine has gorgeous models.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Now it
like
definitely does
it's not
now.
like they
Like,
can't
holy
pop.
heck!
If you look at it, I mean, toot your horn, right? Look at all your paint schemes. Look how fantastic they look. Your Orgoth looks great. Your Cotter
Thank you.
looks
Thank
great.
you.
Your Dusty looks good, right? Yeah, I mean, it looks fantastic. And I love seeing it. And I think if you want to pull the random guy off the street, you do it with painted models. Like that's the real thing that I think is the biggest eye catch to me
I
as like a
haven't
little
heard.
autist, if you will.
I haven't heard the Masters argument before, and I don't hate that one. I usually hate like requiring painted because
I,
me
I
being
don't want it to be a barrier of entry.
yes for barrier of entry for tournaments, and and
Mm-hmm.
that's always been my thing. Masters I kind of get, but like I will still be on the side of like the parent who also likes to go to the gym and have other hobbies, and then also likes
Mm-hmm.
to paint. But his 2 hours or his 5 hours a week he wants to be competitive, so he needs to spend those 5 hours practicing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
I don't know. I'm the reverse, right? I think like if you're genuine about like, hey, I don't want to see game stores requiring painted
Nope.
models for their
yeah.
tournaments.
I agree.
That's not what I'm advocating for. But like Nova, Boker Brawl,
No, I like the Masters where it's
WTC,
just
all
like
of that
top
stuff.
eight who make it on the second day. I
Well,
like that a lot.
me personally, at the big tournaments, and this is I guess my hill, if you will. I want to see painted models. If you're
Well,
gonna play in the actual tournaments,
I want to see players more than painted models. That's the
and there's
difference.
a few
I guess that's
tournaments.
fair.
that are full painted. Like I think
Yep.
WTC is, but that's also just like that's a Masters event entirely.
Yes.
That fits
100%.
your side, and Adepticon is a fully painted event.
Because it's a hobby-centric convention
Yes.
more than the
And
competitive play.
and that's what I mean, I guess maybe I'm just not a hyper competitive player. Like that's just not my that's not what I get out of the hobby.
Yeah.
I just like seeing painted models on a table, right? I think that's
Right.
and granted, I am not gonna pretend to be the majority. I'm not gonna pretend to be, king of the castle, whatever you want to call it.
King of the
I
castle,
just
king of
wish,
the castle.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, because all your stuff's painted, right?
Mine.
Uh,
Well, it's like
all of the stuff I used to play with was painted. Yeah, not all the new stuff, but I also haven't played it, so I guess I'm not breaking my own rule yet.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I will say this new Cawdor has definitely sparked because of sponging being so cool. It's like so
Yeah.
striking.
Yeah.
It sparked a lot in me painting Razor. I was like, this is a really fast technique.
Right.
This is a really cool technique. And I think I got Orgoth burnt me out, but it was like a little bit because the red took so long. But when I was done with Orgoth, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. I'm happy I did it. I'm happy the burnout was there because it was worth it. Dusk, I like. It is a base coat, like build up the layers. It's a much more typical painting scheme.
Right.
And I think what I'm learning as a painter, that painting scheme is not for me. I'm not unhappy with my dust. My dusts look cool, and they're going to look awesome. And like I can start to see the vision now a little bit more than when I was like playing them gray. But it's going to be a slog for me to finish painting them, just because I don't think that style fits me. I don't think it does, and that's something I've learned.
In the line that look amazing when you put some paint on them, and they just look like a blob when they're primed. Like it's crazy how many details are just lost when you just primed them. Like it's gone. And so like one of the big things for me this year is the Speed Paint 2.0 metallics are insane.
Those are great just for normal metallics, not even just speed painting, just using them normally.
They're extremely thin. They go over the layers fantastically for effects, for everything. They work for dry brushing. They work for everything. I cannot recommend them enough. And that has like upped mine so much because when I looked at metallics, it was either way too bland or I got to put the time in for NMM. And I'm just like, I don't want to do
with that one.
Yeah, yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I put 180 hours into a Sanguinius. I don't want to do this again ever. It's one of those things where, like, again, full circle, and I'm going to keep doing this. We talk about where we are and analyzing what works, what didn't work throughout the year, so that we can make reasonable, measurable goals for the next year. I love Longshanks for the fact that I can look and see in the 9-ish months that I have come back to the game, I have played 74 tournament games. And that's great. Am I going to meet the goal? The goal should probably be around 100 tournament games if possible. But I know that these are just tournament games. So, like, I have closer to 150, 200 games this year. And I don't expect anyone to do that. I'm crazy. So when we look at like what you can do is, can you get a game a week? Can you get a game every other week? Are you sticking to a caster? Are you like, so it's always looking at where you want to be and am I on the right path to getting there?
Yep.
So
break
like,
it down as far as you can and then start there.
Right.
I know you can break it down even further, right? Like, not to play philosopher, the way I look at it, you can look at it the same way you can look at life, right? You should, in my opinion, you only really need 3 rules for anything you do.
We're getting real here.
Rule number 1: are you having fun? Are you enjoying what you're doing? If not, why? Right? Rule number 2: are you doing do great work? Right? Whatever you are doing, be proud of that. If you're not proud of it, if you're half-assing games or half-assing paints or half-assing whatever, building, but being a part of it, why? Right? If you want to do it, even if you have to cut back on the time, be proud of the work you're doing, right? That 2 and 3, learn something new, right? It doesn't matter if it's painting, doesn't matter if it's building, doesn't matter if it's playing. Did you learn something new that you didn't know before, right? Because that's a great metric. If you can follow those 3 things, I think you will never not be in a place where you want to be. right? Or moving towards the place you want to be.
And this is a
And I
perfect.
think that, yeah, go ahead.
This is perfect for like what I was talking about in my painting video. You heard my little ramble. I was just like, try something you didn't think you'd like. And if you didn't like it, cool, you tried it. Be happy you tried it. And then if you didn't like it, what didn't you like about it, and what could you like about it? And
And
especially
even
like
if
we're
you
talking
didn't
about,
like it, be proud of the work you did, right? You're
yeah,
still doing more than most.
you're still
More
trying something
times than
different.
not, when you're trying something, make it a conversation. Hey guys, I used this pink, but it was really like stringy, and I didn't really know how to work with the consistency. Do you have any thoughts? Do you have any? Oh, you're an idiot. You're not watering it down. Or oh, you didn't prime white. It actually looks a lot better. Or the one I recently learned: if you want to
Orange under
paint
pink.
yellow, right, orange under pink, and it's like what? Oh my god, that looks so much better. And that now that's how you build a community of people, because now you've shared that experience with that person.
Yep.
And now maybe they didn't know that, or maybe guy all the way in the corner of the group chat didn't know it. And he's like, "Oh, look at that, that's pretty cool." And then like,
I didn't know the orange under pink thing, so like that's
right.
big, learn something
So,
new.
and it's that like I want to. Hey guys, I want to do snow for my bases. What's worked for you? You can maybe
Yep.
sometimes skip a step and be like, "Hey, don't do baking soda. It's gonna look yellow in a year." And just like that kind of small things and tidbits of people that have had
Here's
the
my tidbit about
experience.
snow, by the way, for
All right, here
everybody.
we
If
go.
you don't,
Yeah,
it's
breaking
white
news.
paint, white craft paint, cheap craft white paint, snow flock, and Elmer's glue mixed together equally, and then you put that on the base, and then on top, right as it's drying, you put normal snow on top. Boom, done.
Done. You
There
heard it
you
here
go.
first, folks.
Heard it here.
Boom.
I think that kind of really ties into like the most important part, right? Like where's the community? Where like wherever you are, whatever you're playing, whatever that might be, right? Are you surrounded by people who have that same common goal of like we're here to have fun, we're
Yeah.
here to improve ourselves, and have a community that can rely on each other.
The competitive nature, from my perspective, more times than not, is only a destructive force. If you are just like you said, only interested. If two people are only interested in being the best possible, you get a lot of ticky tacky games, a lot of arguments, a lot of not happy experiences, and then eventually somebody's like, "Wait a minute!" The light switches in their head. I'm not having fun, and they leave.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
Whereas if you walk forward, two words: positive, productive. Are we building something? Are you getting better? Taylor and I played at Nova. I top-a-tooed him and I said, "Hey, I want to play a game. Let's just say
Take
you
that back a
can't,
little bit. Yeah.
and then we'll just keep going." Like that's a Nova. That's a convention. Like
Yeah.
I just, and that's, and we got a whole conversation. And he watched as Warbor popped a balloon, no problem. You're like, oh, now I know that. Whereas like if I just do top of two, all right, GG, scoop up my stuff and leave, he doesn't learn any of that stuff. We don't have the conversation.
Yeah.
We don't talk and more, and then end up
Yep.
here. Like it's just it's so easy to see the measurable objective things
Uh,
that lead you to a better position.
And I'll say this is something about the
Exactly.
War Machine community that I've tried to take upon myself as like I've gathered from everybody else, and I
Mhm.
want to pass on is even at a super competitive event, you are open with your opponent, you are
Yep.
talking about what you want to do, and then
Yep.
after the game, both opponents are like, "Oh, I think where your mistake might have been is this," or like, "Hey, if you would have maybe done this, I would have made me think differently." And like there is an
Mhm.
open conversation about at all levels in terms of just like learning the game. Or if I'm playing against you, Riker, I know we're gonna go into this game and I'm gonna learn something, and maybe you'll learn
Mhm.
something because I suck at this
Right.
game, you don't.
But there's so many rules and so many opportunities for like
Yep.
Yep.
weird corner case stuff to happen, where like I am so upfront and honest with people. I know there are plenty of people in various tabletop games where when a corner case happens, they're just confident enough to push what they think the result of the rule is. Like me, I'm transparent. I'm like, I don't know. Let's look it up.
Yep.
Let's
Yep.
pause the clock. I have no
And
clue.
I think
Like,
that's something I love about the War Machine community, especially after playing at Nova. Right, that was my first ever real like convention,
right.
and my first real tournament that I actually played.
Hmm.
And you
And
didn't
the
even
most
have like
fun.
super a lot of experience. You were like had the models
No,
the week before, and
got
you're
the
like, I'm
models.
here.
We painted them. I think 5 days prior to Nova, had the last one painted, and we were like, let's ball out.
It's
Right,
time.
brand new
Yeah.
army, haven't really played it, and
Hmm.
I said, look, I got these models, let's go. And I had great pickup games. The community's fantastic, and I think ultimately, and granted, didn't play a ton of the no joke tournaments within the convention, right? I just didn't have the point value to play
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Necrofactorum,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I watched a lot of games. right? And the biggest thing that like came back with me was the overwhelming majority, right? Not everyone, you're always gonna have onesie twosies, but the
Mhm.
overwhelming majority of the War Machine players at Nova, and to my understanding, at pretty much every convention, at least talking with Taylor, is
Mhm.
nobody's out to get you.
Nope.
Everybody's there to like, hey, yes, it is a competitive game. Like, yes, we're here to play a tournament, but nobody's like trying to stick you with a gotcha gimmick or whatever, right? Like if
Yeah.
you say, "Hey, I'm trying to stay out of your charge range," so like, "Yep, my charge range is 14." Boom, boom, boom. Hey, we're good.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't
And even
really
then,
see
I've
that
had
in a
it
lot of my
where
other
like
games.
I will ask, "Hey, what's your threat?" And I'm like, "Cool, I will place whatever model outside of that charge." I'm like, "Hey, intent is
Mhm.
to be out of charge," and then we go to their turn, and like I place them like half a millimeter too far forward. They're like, "You meant to do this, right?" They're like, "Yeah." So they let you back it up because you told them their intent, and there's that evil like we are both players, we are both
Yeah.
humans.
Yep.
I'm in round 3 of the Invitational at Warfare Weekend. That happened. Hey, I want to be outside of 11. Okay. And then they're thinking about their turn. It's like 10 minutes later. I've passed the turn now. They looked like, oh, looks like I'm in 11. Let's just fix this.
Yep.
That's the Invitational. That's a highly regarded event, and we're still like, we both know exactly what we were trying to do and move on. Like no weird like, well, it is what it is. Like
Yeah.
You turned the game
yeah,
over, and
right,
I
right.
think that's my favorite part about War Machine is that like the community that we have in War Machine, for the overwhelming majority, is we're here to play the best of the players, right? Like
Right.
I'm not here to get you on a well, you didn't know that my caster has a +3 movement, so now
Mhm.
all of your
Mhm.
important things are dead. Like we don't do that, and like granted, again, can't speak for everyone, right? And hopefully, if you're wargaming locals are like that, like hopefully they're not, right? But I
And
really
if they're
haven't
not, I'll
experienced
play
that.
War Table with you and fix it for you.
Yeah, there you go, right? Uh, but I really haven't seen it, and that's at the local games, even at the conventions where you said like where the stakes matter, right? Like where you're winning a convention and
Yeah.
you're doing it like a gentleman or a lady, right? You're gonna play with honor and respect.
And the fact of the matter is that like if you want this culture to stay, you need to propagate it.
Be a
You need
part
to
of it. Yep.
continue the standard. Where like I identified as a hyper competitive player that if I win by those means, I don't have fun.
Yep.
So like I identified that and I went, oh, this is why I wasn't having fun because I was being a ticky tacky jerk. And like, yeah, I won, but like again, only one person gets to win the con. So if the dice don't go my way, now I'm miserable because I didn't win. I'm miserable because I was a jerk to my opponent. Awesome. This
Nice.
was a
Yeah.
great use of my
You.
vacation and money.
Yeah. Your money, your
Yeah.
vacation. You
Yeah.
traveled for this,
Um,
right? Like.
and
Yeah.
as I let go of those things, I got better at the game.
I was just about to say, Akers, when he was talking to me about how he got good at the game, he had that year or two where he was like, I want to be the best, I want to be the best. And he kept like getting stuck like right before the top. And
Right.
he's always wondering, like, what happened? And then he's like, then he just chilled out. And then Akers is a very good player now. And he is,
Absolutely.
yeah. And now he chilled out. He goes there, he plays the game, and it's just like muscle memory. He just plays the game, and
Mhm.
that's it.
I will say it's hard, right? Like, and if you're at that stage, because I think it comes in a wave, right? Like you get into the hobby, you don't really care. You get to that point where you're like, hey, okay, I'm decent. I'm pretty decent. I know my army. I know what they're good at, and you're like, I want to win. And you kind of have to be able to take that step back, right?
You
And
have
I
to
even
swallow your
felt this
ego.
in the duos, right? And I got paired up in the duos at Nova, right? And I found myself getting like frustrated, right? Because maybe my teammate wasn't doing what I thought they might should be doing, and I had to take a step back, and I'm like, I'm getting mad over some shit that doesn't matter,
Mhm.
right? Even if it did, even if it was that is the tournament of the con, which it wasn't, right? It's the duos 30-point tournament, right? So like it's for fun.
Yeah.
I'm not having fun because I'm getting pissed off over shit I can't control.
Right.
And I'm not going to help my teammate if I'm being an asshole and I'm pissed off at them. I'm not going to learn anything because I'm just going to be in a sourpuss mood, and I'm wasting my time because I'm not having fun. And
Right.
once I took that step back and was like, I am getting mad over shit that doesn't matter. There's
Mhm.
no reason to be mad. I should just be having fun. And
Right.
said, F it. I'm just going to do fun, weird shit because
Mhm.
why not? I had way more fun. Like the last 2 rounds were way more fun for me than the first 2 rounds. I think we got it's squashed, right? But we're both learning, but I had fun even losing because I
Yeah.
stopped being a
Caring.
dick. I think that's not caring, but like just stop being a dick.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's the
And
important part. You
like,
don't need to stop caring. You just need to stop being a dick.
and the fact of the matter is that like I'm a big proponent of I want to give my opponent especially not a tournament game. I want to give my opponent the best chance to beat me. Not in the way I'm playing, but like, hey, let's talk about this really quick.
Yes.
Hey, you have this option. Hey, you have this buff. Hey, just remember,
Yes.
I have this tech in rebuttal, so that because it makes me evolve as a player. When you
100%.
know all of my tricks, it's like, oh, dang it, I can't just pull my little ace out of the sleeve and win the game because I decide to win now.
Yep.
You've shut that gate, and I'm like, oh, now I got to actually play the game. Darn it.
100%.
Darn, I gotta
Uh,
learn things.
I
yeah,
think that's what catches people, right? And like I think when we talk about these hyper professional players, if you will, like like you, like Acres, right? And when you're talking about, hey, we're hitting that plateau, and
right,
I think when we talk about letting go, it's not letting go of caring if I win or lose, like
right.
playing like shit. It's like if I let my opponent have all of their things, right, and they're playing to the best of their ability, even if I'm helping them play to the best of their
Mhm,
ability, I get better because now I'm playing against people who are playing at their top. And if
right.
you're constantly playing on the hardest difficulty, you're constantly improving. If you
Mhm.
only ever play against easy AI, you're probably gonna have a rough time when it gets cranked up, right? When the oven turns on.
So again, it's all about priorities and where you want to see
Yes.
yourself. If you identify that literally all you care about is winning, then that's you. That's okay. Like go to
Yeah.
local events, go to and just go to as many tournaments as possible because it'll give you the most opportunity and chances to win.
In
And
chat
Yep.
about every list, like if you are like you're like this is my list and this is the best list I've ever made and you are sure of it,
Mhm.
post it. And if somebody said something different, don't be like no you're dumb. Be like why do
Right,
you think that?
right.
Yeah.
Like
Make it a
what makes
conversation.
Yep, make it a conversation. As you
Mhm.
Because
looping it back.
maybe they
Looping
haven't
it
thought
back.
about a rule that you're thinking
Mhm.
about, right? Maybe they've thought of a rule you're not thinking about, right?
Right.
But that's how we get better.
So
Is community.
recently, I've been trying desperately to play more Sabbath, and I played it into Brian Bloods a while back. I put Silence of Death onto a Tyrant, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. I'm gonna charge into that thing. I kill it, and I say overtake, and they go, nope. Oh my
Uh,
god. So because
Yikes!
the remove from play is before it's destroyed, I never actually destroy the thing, so I can't overtake even though I'm stopping the tough.
mm.
Whereas if I just played Savagery on the Tyrant, he goes through like 2 units. Um,
Oh, did
so
Sabrath get to you today, by the way? Super random.
I didn't get to check, but
Okay,
I'm excited
cool.
to paint that up for another topic a little bit down the notes. But it's so overall, what would you say? Let's do a mental, a hobby, and a competitive goal each for you guys. What would you say is a measurable thing that you can hold yourself accountable to for the upcoming year?
All right, Ross, you're up first, buddy.
Mine is going to be to have a painted and played 100-point list for my cricks. Right. I want the two
Mhm.
lists. Like I functionally want painted based uh playable lists for cricks. Right. That way, if I wanted to go to a tournament, I could.
Mhm. If it's
Um,
Subsira, do the Mechanothral's for feet also have to be painted?
yeah, obviously.
I'm just checking. I don't know. I don't know. I'm
Obviously.
trying to see outliers here.
I think so, right? Like
so the,
I'm not a huge fan of like 90% of my army is painted, but my summons aren't, right? Like I kind of want it. It's kind of an all or none for me. I want them all painted. That's the goal.
Mhm.
That's the goal, right? I want to have the whole army painted. My goal is to have my Sepsira army painted and
Mhm.
I want a Decathlus army painted. And that way I have two lists.
so
That's
that's your
my
painting goal,
that's my hobby goal, right?
hobby goal.
My
Mhm.
competitive goal is I want to get to the point where I am tit for tat with people like Taylor and Fields.
Mhm.
Um, right, those are kind of like two of my in our community, like AJ and Taylor. They're pretty good, pretty darn good, right? And they pretty consistently beat me. So I want to get to the point where I'm not consistently losing. Um,
Okay.
right, not winning all the time. I don't think that's a realistic goal, but I want to get to the
So
point where I'm competitive.
I like the concept, but how do we make it measurable?
Measurable would be I'm looking for probably at least a game, two to like a game a week at least,
Mhm.
and then maybe we'll call it 4 games a month, right? And that way it
That's
doesn't
awesome.
have to be one per week, right? But 4 games a
Also,
month.
if you go to a steamroller, that could be like 3 games, and you're like, okay,
Right.
I need to
Exactly.
get one
Right.
game this month after that.
Exactly. Right. So I'm thinking 4 games a month. I want a painted army, and then my mental goal is that. Oh, I don't actually know what my mental goal is going to be
Stuff.
yet. That's a hard one. I'll be honest
Mhm.
with you. I guess my mental goal will be developing a schedule for painting that makes me like happy the whole time. I
Mhm.
have a really bad habit of like painting and being like, oh, I really need to paint. I'm gonna paint for 12 hours, and then I'm like, all right, I'm never painting anything again.
Right, right,
So
right.
my mental goal for me is going to be breaking down my paint slash building schedule to
Mhm.
like a manageable,
You say realistic painting schedule.
like a realistic painting schedule, right? And I don't know what that looks like yet. I'm still kind of in the infancy of it, so I'm not really prepared to make that like, oh, I'm gonna paint 4 models a week. It might not be. It might
Right.
be four. Probably not 4 a week, but
Now those mechanical
Rush
models.
hour.
a realistic painting schedule. I think it's my mental goal.
Cool. All right, 1, 2, 3. Taylor, you're up.
My painting goal would be probably just get. I want to have 2 painted lists. I want to be ready for ATC. That's my painting goal
Mhm.
because that's a very be ready for ATC with the 2 lists that I choose.
Okay.
And whatever that breaks, that'll be 200-point lists. I'll have 3 months to do it. The army's already base coded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be
Realistically, whatever army you play.
yeah, whatever
Yeah.
army I play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then to follow that up, whatever I want to like slowly do, like I want to do a model a month,
Okay.
but not just like a slap chop model. I want to do like I tried a new technique that somebody way better than me
Mhm.
that month. Like I'm gonna try to copy Sergio Cavios for a month.
Right.
Because like I bought Angron to copy his Angron and try it to try to
Mhm.
match his Angron. So I'm gonna try to do like one because that's been like I think that's where I'm learning. That's been part of my mental battle of as a painter. Is like I want to try new things. I want to try new styles, like the sponge style. It's like that's my new little
Mhm.
hyperfixation. I want to do more
Right.
with that. But it's like I got looped into not I looped myself into it, but like this is how you paint a whole army. Is I chose to paint dusk this way. Now I have to paint them
Right.
this way. I'm not
Right.
unhappy with it, but like now it's like
Mhm.
I have to do it.
That experiment now became a project.
Yep, because I ran.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The time that I created it, other things got in the way at the time of like life things got in the way of me having
Mhm.
fun with that experiment, and
Right.
now that experiment has moved into like I'm on to my next experiment, but now I have to finish old ones too. And that almost happened with Orgoth, but Orgoth like, and I'm sure I'll feel the same way when Dusk is done. I'm gonna be like, this army's sick. I'm so happy with it, but I'm also
Yeah.
gonna be so happy it's done.
Right. I think that's tabletop in a nutshell.
Yep.
Honestly, this was a
Yeah.
huge investment of my life, but man, does it look cool!
Yeah. So painting
And
is
yep.
Dusk for ATC
Mhm.
and a new technique a month. I'll say that a new technique a
Okay.
month.
Which helps with the content creation too.
Yes.
Fantastic. I've already been
Mhm.
cooking up some ideas. This was on the Arcane Precision podcast I was on the other night. I don't know if
Mhm.
which one will come out first. Next month I'm doing a Zippo lighter fluid video,
Oh man.
and that's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
I think like it's here. It's ready.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, it's
ready.
ready. Yeah.
I actually have 3 bottles of it. Do not. It is for
Just,
modeling.
yeah. Just be careful.
Well, I mean, like maybe the entire drawer of lacquer paints that's flammable
Yeah.
is probably
Yeah.
worse than the one thing of
That's what I was thinking about. That's okay.
um,
Okay. So we have painting done.
Yep. So for game, I want to prep. I want to do well at ATC, and I want to be. I guess my big year goal is like I don't want to get accepted in the WTC, but I want to be like in the mind of maybe he could go.
Mhm.
I'd call that like like that's an end state, right?
Yeah.
Just like mine was an end state with
Yep.
like it's hard to do. It's easy to do the end state, right? What's your
Yeah.
tangible, measurable way to get there? What's your battle plan?
So using what you said, it would be a focus of building a resume.
Yeah, I was that's what I was about to say is I need to go to events and I need to practice for those events, but I need to do well at those events.
Mhm.
So when somebody reads my little WTC application, they're like, he did okay this year. Not quite, but he's doing
Right.
better than he did last year. And like you can look at my long shanks and be like, this year he did well.
Right.
How many tournament
Oh,
games do you think you're trying to play this year?
boom.
Maybe not tournaments, but tournament games.
Right.
I think it'd be better about the. I think I'm gonna aim for 70, 70 games.
70? Okay.
Yep.
All right. I saw you were writing these down. So
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
you gotta write that down. So the big thing is for that goal in particular is you need to obviously all of the umph and the gumption and the want to be a part of something like that is nice, but at the end of the day, you do have to perform and you do have to do well competitively to make yourself the best candidate possible. Again, it's a dice game. You can only control so much. So when you're talking about concepts and measurables, um, all of my games that I'm playing, am I playing them to completion? Am I just scooping? Am I having the conversation after with my opponent to improve and take that opportunity with that player that may be better than me to get better myself? Um, Being consistent with leagues, being consistent with communication with the general meta, making sure your name is in their brain. Doing something like this podcast where you are reaching people and they are attaching a name to a face. And I think that's very important when you're talking about somebody on a selection committee or a selection team or that captain that just got picked for WTC. Do they hear your name, remember the interactions with you, and be like, I want that person on my team?
Yeah.
They're reliable, they're consistent, they give a crap, and they're not bad at the game. Awesome, you checked all the boxes. And I think that is commonly um, 5.8333333 games a month. Amazing. So I think that is something that people don't often talk about a lot. Where I have had conversations with a lot of people where it's like, I applied for WTC, but I didn't get picked, and I'm awesome in my meta. It's like, okay, did you travel outside of your meta? Are you showing that you're willing to get on a plane for this game and go to places that are not within driving distance of you? And how well did you do? Did you go to, like me, flying to, I'm going to go to Las Vegas Open for the first time because that dedication is required for where I want to get to.
Yep.
And it's like, I need to get on a plane, fly that flight, and do well. And that's that kind of, that's the kind of pressure that I enjoy. And that's what I enjoy getting out of the game. But like, that's not for everybody. So, and I just want to reiterate that that's not wrong.
No, that's 100%. I don't think that's going to be many people if we're
Right.
being
It's not
like
a lot of
super
people.
honest, right? Like I can say
So,
What is it, like
my
70 people
hobby
go to WGC?
aspirations. Well, and like my hobby aspirations are likely not to visit WTC, right? But that's just not what my get out of the game is, right? My
Right.
favorite time in the game is doing shit like this, like being on the podcast, talking to cool people,
Right.
going over to the local game store or going to Nova and like just having fun meeting new folks.
And this has been kind of a conversation that I've had with people where, as a community, there's been so much emphasis on WTC being the end state for a competitive player. And the fact of the matter is that I don't think that's true. I think that the end state is on a case by case basis. I know
Yep.
someone who gets to go to a steamroller a quarter of the year that all of their stuff is painted and they're happy as a clam and they're good at the
Yep.
game. They're doing well. They give me a good game, and we go about our days, and we're both happy. And like
Yep.
that's if there's any message that can be delivered from this episode, I want it to be that like you as a player and an individual need to identify what you enjoy about the game and make that your focus because it's very easy like everything else in life, eating healthy, working out, drinking water, like if
Hydrate.
you right
Yeah, I'm out. I gotta drink more.
we got
Don't
other
worry,
goals
I'll
we
get you.
gotta work on. He's gone.
I gotta get more water.
So it's if you as a player are going to tournament, but you're really hobby oriented and none of your stuff is getting painted and none of your stuff is finished and you're playing with a bunch of gray and black, like you're starting to notice like, oh, I'm missing this. I need to make this a focus. And that's where this moment in time is important to also on the other side of that coin, where like you're hobby oriented, everything's painted, there's nothing else to paint. I got to get some new stuff. Maybe I'll try a new army. Maybe I'll get like max FA of this army. Maybe I'll paint Angron, even though I'm not playing 40k. Like those are the identifiers where it's like, oh, I've actually forgotten that I really enjoy this.
Yep.
Um,
And then
and
let me
good.
explain a little bit, explain the reasoning for WTC, because that's not just like not everybody just chooses like I want to go to WTC. I'd say a lot of that comes from how much fun I had at Bokor Brawl,
Mhm.
because Bokor Brawl was the first team tournament I was a part of. I got to be part of a very good team, very good players, and I got to hang
Yep.
out with some really cool people. And I would say that environment is awesome, and
Yeah.
the chance to maybe do it on another part of the world, to do it in this case this year in Wisconsin, and I'm going to deck.
Mhm.
I'm booking my Captain Con ticket this weekend to do it, to do that with different groups of people, to go have fun and play at a pretty high level and try my best and perform the best that I can.
Yeah.
Is something that I think I'm going to enjoy, and I'm going to learn very quickly if Adepticon and I like have to cram painting, and I'm like have not fun painting Dusk. I'm going to be like, all right, cool, not this year.
It's that kind of thing. Yeah, like you said, not this year. Where like there's always a checkpoint to see
Mhm.
where you are and how can you align yourself to where you need to be. So like the biggest thing for me when you mentioned WTC is that like there's a physical requirement. Like you need to get like this many games, talk this
Yep.
much about the game weekly, and go to that many conventions, tournaments, like, and again, all that time, do well. You don't have to win everything, but just do well. And it's a big ask for a lot of people.
And this year
But
is mostly going to be like the test for me to be like,
yeah,
where am I at?
yeah,
This is going to be my
I
litmus
think
test
that's
to see
good for
where I'm
you,
at.
right?
Yes.
To develop yourself as a player. I think it's going to be great for you, honestly. I think taking a year seriously is important, and if you want to be a competitive player, and just really focusing in on getting that razor edge ability at the game. Um, yeah,
Because, like you
so
said, when you run out of things to paint, and then like I'm nearing the end of my Dusk painting, and I can start doing the one-off
right,
projects while my primary army is fully painted. After
right,
that, my primary army being fully painted, everything else is just fun.
right.
I might have to paint a unit or two depending on how things shift, but
Hmm.
it's like after that, it's just fun painting, and it doesn't. I can put more time into the games needed than I need to be like, oh, I should probably paint this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had fully painted by Adepticon, and your
Technique a
was it
month.
model? Yep, project
At
a month.
5.8
Yeah,
tournament games on average.
70 tournament games and
Yeah.
build a good
70
resume.
tournament games. Build a good resume. And what's the mental?
Be okay. Probably just relax.
Hmm. Hmm.
And relax and just find my own groove in the hobby and just ride it. Be myself in the hobby. Don't try to be what other people want. Try to paint for me and paint fun for me. If other people don't like it, womp womp. If I
Hmm.
like it, I want to make sure if you, and this is my stitch to the hobby side, if you're not having fun painting one way, try something new.
Hmm.
And just, and that's why I try so many different things, is like, and that's where I think the Dusks were just not my painting style, because I did a more traditional paint scheme on them. I'm
Right.
like, this isn't for me. But
Yeah.
Candy is,
Uh,
marbling is next if the
Hmm.
rule guard comes out.
I will
Oh, yeah.
challenge you.
Oh God.
Not that I think that you will. Not that I think you do this, right? And I played. I mean, you're the person I played
This is
with
a
the most,
gauntlet. The
right?
gauntlet's being thrown down. If I
The
had
gauntlet's
effects, I'd
thrown
be
down.
hitting them
Here it
right
is.
now.
Here it is. Right, come out of every game with a positive mental attitude. Right, win or lose, and
I'm
I
way too
think you
hard
do
on
a great
myself,
job
and
of
that's the
this.
biggest thing.
Yes, and
Mm.
I think a lot of people are right. My challenge to you will be every game you play, no matter win, lose, the dice got me, the dice were super in my favor. Come out and say, find that positive, at least one positive thing that you either learned or come away from with, right? Like one positive experience minimum per game, right? Win or lose.
I like that.
And I
That's my
think
mental
that will
goal.
be the
Hmm.
big one.
You know, it's funny. I just did that. I've been this VTC league, and this is gonna be. I've been like having fun, but not. I like my team. I love my teammates. They've been so supportive, and I appreciate them. But every game
Hmm.
I lose, I'm just beating myself up. I'm like, I lost. I lost. I
There you
lost.
go.
This last game, I lost. But the one thing I took away from it is the end of the game, I was like, I did a really good job at doing. In this case, it was Israfel and Pig were next to each other, and I did a really good job of presenting them. You can deal with one of these, but there's also a unit of shield guards, and I'm staring at your big pig. Do
Right.
something about it. And that did a very good job of controlling the table. Now I may have lost on scenario because I should have focused elsewhere as well, but
Mhm.
that's like the whole wide thing. I was playing very boxy.
You force the issue.
Yep. But I forced the big pig wyvern in front of me.
Right.
And I was like, you're gonna do something about
Exactly.
this Israfel and pig in front of you. And then I made him do it, and Israfel didn't die, big pig died, and 2 shield guards died.
Mhm.
But you
That
came
was my
out
positive.
positive,
Yeah,
right?
that
You
was my
came out and you
positive.
were like,
I did
I'm
that
happy
little
with
combo
this.
very well.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the big thing, right? Come out of it with at least something where you're like, I'm proud of this.
Yeah.
I'm happy that I did this.
I think it's important. I think not enough people do it.
I agree.
But cool.
Your turn.
So, oh, my turn. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. You don't get to just get to ask us and then you not do one.
Hobby. Coming back to the game, it's been close to a year, and I have yet to play with a fully painted army. Outside of warfare, but no 100-point event did I play fully painted. So very easy for me. A hobby is just play it painted. Starting January, I really only want to play painted models. So that will kind of give me the kick in the butt to, if something new comes out, buy it and then focus on painting it if I'm going to play it, not as quickly as possible, but in a timely manner. And competitively, if I get picked for WTC, just perform well. So performing well would be like a 3-2-4-1 record. That is my goal to reach for. Obviously, if you do better, you do better. That's pretty cool. But it's such a weird event with the way that pairings are made. Sometimes you jump on a grenade. Sometimes you set up other players, or they set you up. So like, in a theoretical reality, I could go 5-0. But if I got the best matchup on the team every round, like, it's kind of weird. But I the goal is the measurable record, but the concept is just be a good representative of the country.
Yeah.
Like, be polite, be cordial, like still be competitive, and yeah, just be a good ambassador for the game. That kind of stretches into the other goals of like every event that I go to, kind of that mental. Everyone goes on tilt. Everyone will, get annoyed or angry at something not working out. But I have made a very big focus on my mental of like, Taylor was there when I was playing Acres in the game that mattered at Boker Brawl. I was gone. I was, whew. It was a very stressful game that I didn't think I needed to win for the round, and then it became the game. And at a moment, I yelled, "I don't have time to tilt," and kept playing. And from that event, I've put a really big focus on, again, calm, cool, and collected. Now I have moments, but like I think
Everyone has moments.
everyone should push towards that concept. And Warfare Weekend, one of the comments that I got from Seth, the one of the co-creators of Boker Brawl, was that I'm very proud of you because it was a delight to watch you play the game. And I was like, that is awesome to hear. And yeah, so hobby, fully painted, competitive, hopefully get picked for WTC and perform well. If I don't, just have a similar year to this. Probably 100 tournament games is the goal. Whether I reach it or not, that means that I will have to involve myself in more online events.
Yep.
And I think that will, with my work schedule, the big goal mentally is to always step out of my comfort zone. So this year was solo travel more. I went to more. I went to like Jersey by myself. We went to Delaware. We went to like just a lot of new places and new metas, and building off of that. So that would be the new focus of online events, playing more people that I just don't know. But yeah, that's the competitive hobby and mental.
That's big.
There you go. They're bookmarked in history.
Boom, forever and ever.
And we will do
So
this. We'll have this same crew next year as the 1 year
yeah,
anniversary of this reset of FrostCast. We're gonna see how we did.
I'll be back from WTC if I go. So
I guess I would
yikers.
be too.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh-oh.
if I somehow go, we'll see.
Mhm.
I will either I'm comboing it with a trip to Japan on the front or back end, so we'll see where I'm at.
You're going bonkers.
I told the wife, I'm like, this is the year we're going to Japan finally.
This
We're
is the
finally
one.
we're just finally just be like, oh, we'll do it next year. We'll do it in a few years. No, we're doing it this year.
Yeah.
That is like our big priority. Is like we're
No, it's
going
good.
this year.
So yeah, you guys at home should do this as well.
Yeah, put it
I
in the
think
comments below if you want. If you feel
Yeah.
if you feel comfortable enough doing
Yeah.
that, put them in the comments below. If you want to post them somewhere and like just even just personally, very little piece of note, put it in a notebook, put it on your monitor next to your, put it like right here, kind of thing, and just have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Riker, that is a huge topic. We got very deep into almost human psyche. It was cool. I liked
Yeah,
it.
we were
That was
philosophizing.
good. I think, honestly, I'm down to have more. I think maybe we should do one of these every podcast. That should be the new shtick, man. We just have some sort of cool hobby
The
thing
intro
to talk
goes
about.
chillest, coolest, and most philosophical War Machine podcast.
Somebody's got to fill the niche, right?
Yeah. It ain't
I
battle
like
driven. I'll tell you that much.
Well, then let's
No, I love it.
we'll wrap up. I want to say big community shout out to Dan Spinball Wizard for the mini crate challenge, winning the we painted Coldwind on the end of October 31st. Round of applause. Fantastic job.
Great job.
I know we're getting into like SFG shipping them out, and shipments are finally getting back into order. The next one will be Sabrith, which I sent to Riker to paint up because he has the Orgoth army. It makes total sense.
I think she looks super sick. I'm excited to paint her up.
Someone already painted her up. I was like, oh my god. I think we're gonna call it due December 15th.
Okay.
Yep. I think that's good.
Plenty of time, and then the next one will be the Scarelock Lieutenant. Ross, which you're painting.
Yeah, it's gonna look great. I'm stoked.
You only got one?
I got one. Did you order yours?
Did I?
No. Did Ross order you? Oh, you forgot. Oh, whoopsies.
Oh no.
Don't you need like 3 or 4 of them or whatever that
Yeah, but I've got like 3 boxes. We're good.
You have one.
Remember when we were talking about buying battle groups for 2 models? I might have fell into that trap.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I need 6. I need 6 of them, man. I need 6. So many mechanothralls.
But yeah, if you're unfamiliar with Mini Crate Challenge, it is run out of the Tried and True Discord. Links below. Join it every other month roughly right now, just because we understand people's painting lifestyles, and I don't want to interrupt your normal painting routine for just a model. And once we get more into a rhythm with it, it'll probably be like you have the choice between 2 different models to paint for 2 months, and I think that's going to be the best bet for everybody. And then it's going to be like we'll have 2 winners, one for this month, one for this model, and this model. But as we grow it, we can actually do that.
Right. Yep. Super cool.
Yeah.
Love
it. And I want to say thank Riker. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you so much.
Where can they find you?
All the fun. Battle Driven is a podcast that I record. That can be found on Spotify and just at every convention imaginable. Say hi.
He is a very distinct, beautiful man. You will not miss him.
Yeah, you can't.
I'm a big boy.
What are you gonna do? When are you gonna do the mustache like us, though?
I mean, I don't know. You guys are so like twirly, and I can't.
Yeah, I've almost got it where I can curl it. I get yelled at though if I curl it. So.
Oh, if I curl it, I can curl it. I'm too lazy to.
Well, you'll get yelled at. That
no, my leadership's a little like more relaxed about it because it's like they're like, okay.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't think they should be.
Maybe I'm the asshole, you know? Maybe I'm.
Man's got a nasal strip on, all right? She's very tolerant. Anyways.
Yeah, true.
Look, it's hard to breathe, man. I'm allergic to everything.
I think we could really break it down to, thank y'all so much for watching. We'd love to have you back. Riker, we love having you.
Absolutely.
This is fantastic. Hopefully we can make this a thing. And everyone at home listening, right? Are you having fun? Are you proud of what you're doing? And are you learning something new? Right? That's all you can ask. Other than that, love you guys. I'll see you, next month, now that we're getting back on schedule. And we're super happy to have you, and we're super glad to be back.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends.
Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
Love y'all.
Bye-bye.